let's start with, your company, how did it start, and some background about your company story before we can get into more details.
Yeah, I think people would know about us, and most of them would be my customers already. How many of you consume ID? All right, okay, so let's make my life easy. So we make world's best food, idlis. We started in a very small kitchen in a place called Indiranagar in Bangalore, near Tipasandra in Bangalore. It was a 50 square feet kitchen. Myself and my cousins started it with an investment of 50,000 rupees. This was in 2006, 13 years ago. We invested 50K. It was a profitable business from day one. And it took us 9 months to sell 100 packets.
9 months.
To sell 100 packets.
Wow.
In 20 stores.
Today, and how many do you sell today?
Today we sell batter to make around 1.3 million idlis every single day.
Wow, very cool. All right, so I'll tell you a little bit about my company as well. So different perspectives, different industry altogether. So I run myUpchar, which is trying to solve for healthcare awareness and access. And we create a lot of healthcare content in 12 Indian languages, 12 million users a month. And trying to solve for access where we are trying to, what we realize is that we have to actually do physical setups of pathology labs and clinics and all that stuff. So that's where we are heading. And when we were talking earlier, you were talking about common sense. And we realized that a lot of times it's, in hindsight, it's 2020, right? You don't realize until you hit the ground, you actually do it, and you realize, no, it's not going to work that way. What was your learning? You talk about that. So what has been your learning around that as to what type of things that you have seen in your business that work very well for you?
So if you look at idli batter business, that's what we do. There's no rocket science. And there's almost zero entry barrier. But then I think the real challenge these days in the business is the most uncommon subject, which is common sense. We end up complicating everything. I think overdose of spreadsheets, analysis paralysis leads to complication, when the only thing needed would be common sense. So even when we started ID business, we used common sense. Even to scale up ID business, we used common sense. As I mentioned earlier, there's no rocket science. Anybody could start idli business with an investment of 1 lakh rupee. But then the best way to stay ahead of competition is to innovate continuously. So continuous innovation will lead to differentiation in our business.
So can you highlight some of those innovations that...
So I'm just coming to that. So innovation, so for innovation, the most important ingredient is common sense, which is reducing dangerously these days. In the case of ID, when we started idli business, we didn't go to R&D labs. We didn't actually read market reports. We went to our grandmothers. We went to the roadside kitchens to make the world's best idli. In a period of almost 10 years, we helped almost 1 million Indians to eat healthy food every day. But then, copycats started copying us. We had to stay ahead of competition. So that's when we thought we should use our common sense again. As we all know, vada goes best with idli. For South Indians, idli, vada and sambar is the best combination. But then, and vada is a great snack, as we all know. But then vada is one of the most difficult snack to make at home, unless you're an expert like your grandmother. You can't get the shape right for the vada. Even if I give you vada batter, you can't make the vada at home because it's a very cumbersome process. Vada batter is as sticky as your Fevicol. You can't get the shape right for the vada. You cannot get the size right for the vada. Forget about the shape. You can't get the shape right for the vada. And most importantly, we Indians will not eat vada without a hole in the middle. Hole in the middle is the most important part for the vada. So we identify it as an opportunity. This was a century-old problem. We identified it as an opportunity. We then used common sense to crack it. Today, a homemaker can make vada at home untouched by hand by just using the batter, using our ID vada pack. I do have the video here. If you can just play the vada video.
This is no ordinary snack. A South Indian specialty. It's a favorite in homes across India. But its circular cylindrical shape and donut-like hole make it fairly difficult to prepare at homes. It needs the expert hands of grandmas and aunts or even restaurant cooks. Not anymore. ID decided to turn its attention on this age-old problem and transform the complex art of vada making into a science for everyone. And the key ingredient? Common sense. A path-breaking, little big invention. The spout that shapes batter into vadas with the hole. And that's it. Squeeze, shape, cut, fry. Handmade, but with no mess, no stress. Just delicious, crispy vadas. ID, maker of India's favorite batters and fresh food, presents Vada Batter in a pack that shapes batter into vadas. Now, everybody can vada.
That's actually pretty interesting packaging, the way to get the vada.
Now, if you look at this innovation, how do we do it? We use common sense to identify this century-old problem. We then used common sense to identify this as an opportunity. And then we used common sense to put a hole for the vada.
But how long did it take you to?
It took us 3 years to build a hole for the vada.
That's a pretty time-consuming goal.
Yeah. We would have failed 100 times. It was not an easy journey. But then we're pretty confident that we will do it one day.
Very cool. That's very cool. So switching on to the next thing. So as we build up our brand.
So just coming back.
Go ahead.
It might look very silly or very easy to put a hole for the vada. But once you do it, it takes your brand to the next level.
So
right.
I'm from North India. I don't understand the value of that hole.
Yeah.
But clearly.
So I can tell you, last year, I think probably this was one of the most viral video on WhatsApp.
Awesome.
This became a case study at Harvard Business School. And moreover, I was invited to share the vada story at UN. That's where it takes you.
I know that you want to mention the Harvard case study, but I'm from Stanford and it doesn't go well today. So we talked about trusting the consumer.
Yeah.
As a big way to build a brand. And you have done a bunch of experiments in this particular space. On our side also, at myUpchar, we have been trying to figure out what we can do to build up customer trust, besides providing them really awesome health-related content. And we have been going through our journeys ourselves. But given that you are like one step ahead of our journey, we'd love to get your insights on what things that you tried and what worked in your favor and what failed.
So for any brand, earning customers' trust is the most important part of the business, as we all know, right? We want our customers to trust us. What is the best way for someone to trust you? Let me repeat. What is the best way for someone to trust you? You trust them. Trust them so that they will trust you back. So we tried this very unique experiment called ID Trust Shop. Our challenge was we want our customers to trust us. So for our customers to trust us, we thought we will trust our customers first. So we launched this unique concept called ID Trust Shop. This was an unmanned shop set up in 4 cities, around 35 shops in 4 cities. There was no salesperson for the shop. It didn't have any camera. It was not a vending machine. There was no technology. It was purely based on trust. Customers were expected to open the chiller of the door of the shop, pick their favorite idli batter or parathas, chapati, whatever, drop the money in the money box kept next to it, go home and have a healthy breakfast. There was no one watching except the Almighty God. This shop was based on trust.
So,
Customers were surprised with this campaign. It got us a great brand mileage.
so let me ask you this first. So, when you, it's like an Amazon Go without a camera.
It is not Amazon Go without a camera. It is ID Trust Shop without any technology.
Without any technology, all right.
Because I think we have,
So,
we
the
Indians, we Indians are a step ahead of all other technology because when it comes to trust.
All right. So, when you started the first shop,
Yeah.
what was the spillage?
Wow. We started getting monopoly currency in the shops. The currency used for the monopoly games, right? That's what we got.
All right.
But we continued to experiment. We didn't drop.
What was the time frame? Because I think that's important for a lot of companies to understand that, once you start trusting the consumer and with a blind faith in a way, it takes time for consumers to reciprocate. So that's why my next question as to what time it took you to see that change in that consumer behavior where you're now no longer getting the monopoly coins.
So the same customers who were cheating us with monopoly currency probably would have felt guilty and started depositing rupees 500 notes in the next 6 months. So it took me almost 6 months. I'm not saying that 6 months is good enough to earn the customer's trust, but in this case, it was more of a community shop. So within 6 months, we were able to get the real currency from the customers. The best part of this business was, or this trust shop was, in some shops, these shops had better revenue per store than a retail store. And moreover, this store had better profitability per store than a retail store.
So let me ask you this. So in that 6-month time frame, was this community shop,
Yeah.
first, was it set up in a residential colony or?
Yes.
So it was set up in an
It
apartment
was set up in an
complex?
apartment complex.
It was set up in an apartment complex. And was RWA responsible or?
No.
Nobody was responsible? Just, all right, cool. So you know where you can get your free vada, right? So I joke around, we provide free consultation on our platform. And I joke around that we do 100,000 consultations a month, which is the largest in India. And my joke is that in US, there was a barber who gave free haircut. And one day an American came, he said thank you. The next day he sent a fruit basket to his shop. The second day a French came, he was also very grateful, and he sent a wine bottle to his shop. The third day an Indian came, he said thank you. The next day 4 more Indians show up at his shop. So, but here in this case, I think 4 Indians are showing up, but at the same time, they're paying some money to him.
But over a
at the
period
same
of time. Don't expect that from day one.
Hey, so that's why you're saying 6 months, within 6 months you
So 6 months we
saw that.
continued to experiment. We didn't want to drop it.
Okay. And after that you started opening other stores, or did you open them in parallel?
No, it was a marketing experiment.
Okay.
It was, we started 35 shops. It was a marketing experiment. Then we completed the shop. We did withdraw the shop.
So you,
Because when we started expanding, we noticed retailers were having a concern.
okay,
So we had to withdraw the shops from the market, but it was more of a marketing experiment.
okay.
But I think it got us the real mileage in terms of the trusted brand.
So, we were talking about how you are distributing your products,
Yep.
right? And you were saying you going via retail chains,
Yep.
retail store chains. So tell me about a little bit about that journey, because coming from northern India, I'm making that differentiation because based on our conversation, there seems to be a bit different behavior in terms of north versus south. But pretty much everything works on a credit policy. And money recovery is a huge challenge.
It's same here.
And even in our case, like we work with doctors, and if you have, doctors collect the money for pathology, and money recovery from those doctors is a huge challenge. So what was your experiment? What did you learn around that?
See, I think in our case, we had no option. We had no choice. Idli business was not a fancy business like your business. There was no investors.
There's
right?
no fails.
There was no investors. Nobody wanted to invest in a non-fancy business like idli. We didn't have money. We had only 50,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees. So we had to make a business profitable. For any business, especially in the case like ours, either you have to have own funding, or you should have this so-called 3F, the friends, families, and fools to fund it, or you will need an investor, or you need a bank loan. We decided to stay away from interest-based transactions. We are a zero debt, zero leverage company even today. We didn't want to take interest-based loans. So the only option for us was to make the business profitable from day one and make the cash flow positive from day one. Because these are two aspects which all of us need to be careful about, right? If you don't have, if your business is not profitable, if your cash flow is not positive, you will shut down tomorrow. So in our case, we decided that we do not want to go with the interest-based route. The only option for us was to make business profitable and cash flow positive, which means we decided not to extend credit to any customers. So we decided to do business on cash and carry basis. It was not easy, but I can tell you even today, we do business cash on delivery model. And for that reason, we have no debt, we have no liability.
So tell me a little bit. So most of the founders here, a lot of them will be technology based, but if you are, some of them will be trying to explore retail channels to sell these products. Given our experience in what we are seeing in the local markets, we see it's pretty much a credit policy network. Yep. And you have gone cash and carry. Was your journey longer because of that?
Yes, it was, but it was worth.
How much longer?
Probably, I think, if I had extended credit policy, would have achieved the same thing 1 year earlier. That's pretty much, but I have peace of mind.
And in what time frame we are talking about?
So in the last 10 years, if I compare, I would have gained 1 year extra, or I would have gained 1 year. But then, it's a call that we need to take. I have peace of mind today. I have zero debt, zero liability. Even if I have to leave this world tomorrow, I have nothing to worry about. But is it that something we all want to create?
So you did raise funding, right?
We did raise funding, but that was for a different purpose completely.
So let's talk about that, because funding does allow you to do a little bit of stupid things.
Yeah.
So
it spoils you to some extent as well.
So you raised 35 crores from Helium.
Yeah.
And then you have raised 170 CR last year, 2 years back.
From Premji.
From Premji Invest. As a bootstrapped company, over 5-6 years, and then raising this thing, raising Series A, what was the difference in trajectory, or what were the things that you could do that you were not able to do before that this money allowed you to do?
So, in our case, I think we were pretty clear on why we need money and where to use it. Right. So, in the case of ID, the brand ID was built based on word of mouth marketing. We had spent zero paise, literally zero paise in marketing for the first 6 years. In fact, in my GL or chart of account, there was no entry called marketing expense. There was no ledger entry called marketing expense. We created this GL entry after we got the funding. So
Since last 2 months, there is a GL entry called marketing in my expense books also. So need to get rid of that.
So coming back, we did raise first round from Helion Ventures. We raised 35 crores. This was in 2014. We used that money to expand the business to other markets. We were a Bangalore-based batter company till that time. I think we were doing a turnover of close to around some 30 crores, if I remember correctly, at that time. And then we used this money to expand the business to different markets. And not to lose money, not for making losses in those business, but then capex required to run the business. Because if you look at ID, we do have our own distribution system. So to buy the vehicles, right, to set up our distribution system, to set up our distribution centers, set up new factories in those markets, we use this money.
So
We didn't burn money.
Just let me know. Or
But
just,
by the way,
just clarify.
sorry,
just
by the way,
clarify
we-
one thing. You were making 30 crores before you raised 35 crores.
Yeah, 30 crore revenue.
So we raised 35 crores and we were making zero. So
So that's the reason I told you, right? Idli business is not a fancy business. You can't.
I don't think my business is fancy, but yeah, very different outlook.
Yeah.
And then so basically it helped you expand to different cities.
Yes, but then even today, we stick to a policy. We do not do business which are loss-making. We do not do business
Did you do any other product lines like vada?
A lot, yeah. Coffee, for example, is a super hit in the market now.
Okay.
Is a new product from us. Coffee decoction, which we did.
What is so special about that product?
It's a coffee decoction, wet decoction. You can make the traditional South Indian filter coffee at home,
Okay.
anywhere in the world.
And then you raised 170 CR,
Yeah, 150 crores.
150 CR. What has that helped you achieve in last couple of years?
So 2 years, we are still using the money. We still have the money with us, some part of it. So if you look at ID business, we started in a very small kitchen, 50 square feet kitchen. Then we expanded, added new machines, new grinders. That's how we expanded. And with every money that we generated or profit we generated, we added one vehicle or added one new chiller in one store. For us to look at a larger vision in terms of building $1 billion business out of idli business, it was extremely important for us to have world-class factories. So our factory was hygienic, but it was not the so-called world-class factory. So we are using this money to build 4 world-class factories. So 3 are already in place. 4th one would be ready by end of this year.
And all in Bengaluru or?
No, in different parts of the world.
Different parts of the world. And you have started shipping to Dubai and?
No, we have our own plant in Dubai.
You have a plant in Dubai?
Yes.
All right. And that drives a lot of your margin and?
Yeah, so the Dubai business today is contributing 25% of my revenue and 100% of the profits.
Cool. So you have basically built the business like literally brick by brick, making sure you're getting cash flow and then building on top of it. Whereas most of the businesses, including myself, we build products, we build infrastructure, network first, and then try to monetize that network.
Yeah.
So that's a very different approach compared to yours. And I think one of the things we touched upon, and I'll just like to go deeper in, is the building brand and marketing and scaling it. Although you said there was no line item, but I'm hoping that with the latest round you have inserted a couple of line items around there.
Not really. Even today, ID is a 1,000 crore brand. Last year we spent around 10 crore in marketing, and that 10 crore, most of the money would have gone in creating some ad films and stuff like that. Not really in burning the money, because how much can you burn with 10 crore?
So how will you, I think ultimately you are a B2C brand, right?
Yeah, we're a consumer brand.
And when you look at FMCG companies, they are having, all Katrina Kaif dancing around a product
yeah.
and spending few crores on that TV ad. And there you are building a 1,000 crore company without having a Katrina Kaif or an, Hrithik Roshan.
My product is my hero.
Or Hrithik Roshan as a brand. I know he's sitting here and we're talking about some Flipkart, ex-Flipkart guys as well. So you say that your product is a brand hero, but would spending money on that brand shorten your journey to this particular point or not? Don't you think so?
I don't think so. I come from a different school of thought. I strongly believe building a consumer brand is not to be done with money, not to be done with tons of money. I think I used probably a triangle concept in building my brand. And I think these are three important aspects for any consumer brand. One is the right product. One part of the triangle is the right product. Second thing, a memorable user experience. And third, a well-crafted PR story. So let me just take an example and explain to you how we did it. If you look at the case of Vada, I'm just taking Vada as an example. ID Vada is an awesome product. Very crispy, very tasty, soft inside, crispy outside. It took us time, but we got the right product. So I think for building a brand, the most important aspect is the right product. So if you don't have the right product, don't spend money. Spend your money in building the right product. Second part is giving a memorable user experience. Coming back to Vada again, having done the Vada batter, I could have actually made Vada and gave a ready-to-eat Vada to end consumers. We didn't want to do that. We want customers to have an experience of making Vada at home. So most of the customers using the Vada batter, they made their first Vada in their life and they posted the selfie and videos on social media. That helped me to create a brand. And third and probably the most important thing is well-crafted PR storytelling. If you look at the making of ID Vada, became a case study in different universities, in different channels or different medias, because there was a well-crafted storytelling behind it. So I think these are three aspects that we have used in building a brand called ID, which is the right product, and my product is my hero, no one else. Second, a very memorable user experience for end consumers. It becomes a very memorable thing because most of them, it became their first experience of making Vada. And third, a well-crafted PR story.
And India loves their food anyway, so
yes.
I guess it builds into that.
Yes.
So I'll just have one more question before I open it for others.
Sure.
And what has been your biggest failure during this entire journey?
Every day was a new experience for us. We had no experience about making breakfast. Forget about making breakfast. We had no experience in eating breakfast. We had a lot of bomb blast coming from batter. Bomb blast from batter in retail stores. That happened because of the fermentation. I had no idea about food technology. We had not heard about fermentation before this incident. In fact, I learned the term called fermentation after having the bomb blast in the stores.
How did people react?
My cousins and my salesmen literally had to run away from the stores after the bomb blast with a retail store manager running behind them. Right? So I actually plan to write a book about the failures in my life.
That's cool. So thank you, Musthafa.
So just coming back, I think it's extremely important for us to take the failures in the right sense from our own experience. Every day we learn something new from our experience, and we gained experience from our failures.
I kind of agree because at least in our company and our learning, I think the way we look at is we are doing bunch of experiments on a daily basis, and most of the experiments fail. But some do succeed, and then you put the entire energy behind those successful experiments. And that's the only way to build a company, I guess.
Before they ask me or they ask us their questions, right? Let me ask them one question from my side. How many of you celebrate success in your business? When something succeeds, how many of you celebrate? How many of you celebrated failures in your business? Celebrating failures. Failures, how many of you celebrated? Yeah. So my piece of advice to you is celebrate failures. Encourage your employees to fail. That's the only way to innovate something new. In the case of Vada business or Vada innovation, we failed 100 times. When we get the shape right, you will not get the size right. When you get the size right, you will not get the hole right. When you get the hole right, you will not get the taste right. It took us 100 failures, but then at the end of the day, it was worth. So to create something like a Vada, feel prepared to fail. And in fact, encourage your employees and reward them for their failures.
A simple thing like vada making there's an entire story and learning around it. I think we all need to thank Musthafa for coming here and spending time with us today. And it's open to all of you for any questions that you might have.